Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is for the UCW Tag Team Extreme Championships. Still here, still working. Very nice, very nice. We've got the Omegas going up against Dan Slater versus Jared Skinner, making their way to the ring first. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we've got Damage Inc. These two men right here, fierce competitors in the UCW Tag Team Extreme Division, looking to prove that by becoming the first ever Extreme Tag Team Champions. That's about all I got for these two. They're new signees, and this is a new show. Ain't nothing happening here. There ain't no lore. Let's build the lore together, ladies and gentlemen. Damage Inc. ready to do some damage. But their opponents, ladies and gentlemen, are a true powerhouse and technician tag team duo. These two men, brothers in arms and in life, Nolan and Ethan Omega, ladies and gentlemen. Two very impressive talents here, making their debut. As a tag team anyway. Nolan Omega making his singles debut this week on Monday, where he took on Adam Thomas to become the UCW World Heavyweight Champion. And sadly, he lost. Adam Thomas becoming your first ever World Heavyweight Champion on Overdrive. If you have not checked it out after the stream, be sure to go check out the YouTube. Catch up on the last month and 3 weeks of UCW. And any matches that you missed from tonight will be uploaded tomorrow morning. Single individual matches at 8 a.m. The full show at 7. And there they are, the UCW Tag Team Extreme Championships. Very reminiscent of the early 2000 WWE Tag Team Championships. The best, in my opinion. The ref lifts the belts up above his head. These four men looking to get this action underway. If you bear with me just momentarily while I figure out which one is Dan Slater and Jared Skinner. Jared Skinner takes a big punch, kick, whatever. I blame that. I was trying to prevent the call. Nolan Omega not looking good. Jared Skinner had him up on his shoulders. Over the top rope. Off of it. Misses the cutter. Nolan Omega misses a big move. Jared Skinner kind of mocking him on the outside. Meanwhile, Ethan Omega doing a lot of damage to Dan Slater. Big elbow to the back of the knee. Ethan and Nolan now putting it together. Over the top rope, Ethan misses. Dan Slater makes his way back up to his feet. Also misses the big attack off the top rope. Nolan Omega hit it. I believe he told me that was called the Omega Factor. Big kick to the gut. Rolls him over, going for a cover on Dan Slater. Jared Skinner can't get there, and Ethan rolls him over anyway, leaving his partner alone with both of his opponents. Probably not a good idea. Luckily, Nolan on the chase. Big punches to the gut and a kick to the body. He's got him, flips him over, down onto his head. Ethan just dropped Dan Slater. Jared Skinner taking the fight to Nolan Omega on the outside. He's got a trash can now, throws it over the ropes. What's Ethan Omega looking to do to Dan Slater with that trash can? He meets him with a big kick to the gut and another. Huge kicks from Ethan Omega. He's putting a lot of pressure on the throat of Dan Slater. Nolan Omega on the outside with Jared Skinner. He's working on a suplex. Drops him down on the barricade. Ethan going for the cover. A count of 2 early on in this match here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Drops the kendo stick down onto Jared Skinner. Nolan Omega notices his brother struggling on the inside of the ring. Stops Dan Slater from whatever he was planning. Ethan makes his way back in. Nolan not in a good position. Big suplex takes him out. Ethan Omega knocks Dan Slater down a peg with that. getting him off his brother's back. Flies off the top rope and misses. Jared Skinner back in the ring. He's got a steel chair. Dan Slater putting the attack from Ethan on a hold. He's looking for something big. Jared Skinner stops him. Imagine your partner interrupting you going for a big move. Off the top rope, Dan Slater got him. Going for a cover, Jared Skinner on Nolan Omega. Only a count of one. The Omega twins have done a lot more damage than Damage Inc. has thus far. Little immature to go for a cover this early, in my opinion. Irresponsible, immature, unintelligent, whatever you want to call it. Ethan Omega throwing Dan Slater around on the outside. Nolan able to take the legs out from underneath Jared. He's going for a cover. Dan not gonna make it to stop him. Only a count of one. Dumb would also be another adjective. Not adjective. The one with the T. No, it's sword. This would be fine. Synonym. There we go. Public education. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Ethan just hit a suicide dive to Dan Slater on the outside. Nolan Omega's got the head of Jared Skinner. Big suplex, but I think he's looking for two more. Yes, he is. Words are hard, especially coming up with them on the fly. Like, I got speech impediments and like some learning disabilities and stuff, man. And like, it's a little difficult, but like, we persevere, we power through, we here. Dan Slater got him between his legs. He's got Ethan Omega up on his shoulders, looking to drop him down on the top rope. Jared Skinner catches Nolan Omega, throws him around, going for a cover. Ethan Omega taking an assault from a steel chair right now. A count of two. Nolan able to fight out. Jared Skinner throws the trash can down onto Ethan Omega. Ethan Omega not able to hit whatever he was going for. Dan Slater fights back. Nolan Omega, huge sling blade, lays out Jared Skinner. He breaks up the pin. Having a teammate comes in handy every once in a while. Big DDT to Dan Slater. Jared Skinner and Dan Slater both laying on their back. Ethan Omega and Nolan Omega both on their feet. Huge elbow drop connects. He's going for the cover. Two. Only a count of two. Nolan Omega up to the top. Hurricane Rana takes out Jared Skinner. Ethan Omega alone with his opponent on the inside of the ring. Dan Slater crawls into the corner, trying to relieve the damage of this night. He's got a table. Nolan Omega just dropped Jared Skinner on the top of his head on the outside of the ring. And a knee drop to follow it up. Dan Slater going for the cover. Nolan Omega can't make it into the ring. Ethan Omega kicks out at one. Over the top rope. Big punch to the face of Dan Slater. Nolan Omega breaking it up. Ethan Omega throws him into the corner. Jared Skinner makes his way back in. Huge punches from Nolan Omega. Big punch from Jared Skinner. Full Nelson. Throws him down on his back. Ethan Omega's distracted. 1, 2. Jared Skinner did not get it. And oh my God, Dan Slater just got superplexed through that table. Ethan Omega just got laid out by Jared Skinner. Absolute carnage in this tag team extreme match. Nolan Omega makes his way back in, changes his mind, meets Jared Skinner, catches him. He's got the head trapped, going for the 3 suplexes. No! Changes his mind, drops his opponent down on his shoulders. Throws the chair, does not connect. Nolan Omega with a trash can. Lays him out with an attitude adjustment. Nolan Omega, 1, 2. Only a count of 2. Dan Slater kicks out. Another table coming into play. Nolan Omega off the top rope. Going for the cover. Jared Skinner makes his way in. Able to get the break up at 1. Big punch misses. Clothesline does connect though. He's not able to get to Ethan Omega. Ethan Omega catches a big elbow. Lays out both of the Omega twins. Big Hurricane Rana to Jared Skinner. He's not looking as good as he was moments ago. Ethan Omega gets caught by Dan Slater. Neck breaker. Nolan Omega on the outside with a kendo stick. Dan Slater on the inside with a trash can. He laid him out on his face. Nolan Omega not looking good. Neither is Ethan Omega. He's on his shoulders. Nolan Omega makes his way into the ring. Dan Slater going for the cover. Nolan Omega barely able to save this match for he and his brother. Nolan Omega with a reversal. He's got him up on his shoulders. Dan Slater able to get off. Neck breaker connects. Pause. Big hammer shot to the face of Ethan Omega. He's busted open. Going for the cover. Jared Skinner trying to win this match. Neck breaker from Dan Slater. He's going for a cover now. 1, 2. Only a count of 2. Damage Inc. doing anything they can to try and walk away with the W. He's got his head trapped. Ethan Omega down onto his knee. He's going up to the top rope. Dan Slater and Jared Skinner both on the inside. Big elbow drop connects from Ethan Omega. He's going for the cover. Dan Slater breaks it up off the top rope. Huge crossbody connects. Big punch to the face. Skinner, right? Jared Skinner's got Nolan Omega. Slams him down onto the metal bits of that table. Up to the top rope. Jared Skinner looking to end this match. Ethan Omega with the chair on the outside. Dan Slater, he's got Nolan Omega in a submission. Jared Skinner's shoulder tackle takes him out. Chair shot misses. Nolan Omega fighting back. Big elbow from Jared Skinner. He catches him, kick to the gut. Drops him down on his face. DDT. He's going for Dan Slater. Takes him out with the sling blade. He's going for the cover. Ethan Omega makes his way to his feet. 2, 3. The Omega Twins are your first ever Tag Team Extreme champions, ladies and gentlemen. Take a second to breathe and hydrate. It got really intense there at the end of that match. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been going for 1 hour and 8 minutes. If you've had a good time, let me know in the chat. If you're watching later on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, if you're looking to join UCW, post your created characters, hashtags UCWEF, UCWUU. Come see if you can take the strap from the Omegas.